Wait, what?
At the W Files, we don't just accept reality at face value. We dissect it, question it, and push the boundaries of what we think we know. Today, we're diving into an idea that could completely reshape our understanding of existence. Are we living in a holographic universe? Is everything we experience just a projection from a higher dimension, a carefully crafted simulation, or even some kind of cosmic experiment? Billy Carson believes the answers lie in the patterns all around us. Fractals, ancient knowledge, and quantum physics all hint at a hidden order, an interconnected web of existence that we're only beginning to comprehend. From the holographic principle to UFO phenomena, from the wisdom of ancient civilizations to the evolution of human consciousness, we're exploring some of the biggest questions of all time. If you've ever had the feeling that there's more to reality than what meets the eye, prepare yourself, because this episode of the W Files is about to flip your perspective upside down. Today, we're diving deep into the mind of Billy Carson. And when I say deep, I mean deep. We're talking about a universe stranger than fiction, fractals, holograms, and the idea that reality itself might just be a simulation. That last one, a big one for Carson. But before we start chasing white rabbits and talking to caterpillars, we need to lay the foundation. What's the core idea that all of this mind-bending stuff is built on? Fractals. Imagine zooming in on a snowflake. No matter how close you get, the same intricate pattern repeats at smaller and smaller scales. Carson argues that this self-similarity, this fractal structure, isn't just a cool quirk of nature. It's a fundamental principle of the universe. And it's not just snowflakes. He sees fractals everywhere. The branching of trees, the way galaxies swirl, even the jagged patterns of coastlines. It's as if the universe is leaving behind a signature in these repeating structures, some kind of hidden code embedded in everything. But why does this matter? Is it just an interesting pattern? Not according to Carson. He believes this fractal nature hints at a deeper interconnectedness in the universe. Think of it like this. If the same fingerprint keeps showing up on seemingly unrelated objects, it starts to suggest a hidden connection, an underlying order. So does that mean he's suggesting some kind of cosmic architect behind it all? He doesn't come right out and say it, but he does raise some big questions about the origins of the universe and whether intelligence plays a role in its design. To him, these repeating patterns aren't just the product of random chance. They're signs of something deeper at work. And just when your brain is starting to wrap around that idea, he hits you with another one, the holographic universe. Think about those old hologram stickers you used to see on trading cards or ID badges. Even if you tore off a tiny piece, that fragment still contained the whole image. Carson suggests that the universe itself might work the same way, with every part containing information about the whole. Sounds like sci-fi, right? But this concept is actually rooted in some serious physics. Before this starts feeling like a lost episode of The Twilight Zone, let's break down what this holographic universe theory is actually about. This all ties back to something called the holographic principle, which comes from theoretical physics. The idea is that information about a three-dimensional space can actually be encoded on a two-dimensional surface. Think of it like a 3D movie projected onto a flat screen. It still gives the illusion of depth, even though it's technically just on a surface. And just like with a hologram, even a small piece of that 2D surface contains information about the entire 3D space. Carson takes this principle and scales it up to the entire universe. He suggests that what we experience as reality might actually be a projection of information from a higher dimensional realm. Yeah, this is where things start to feel straight out of the Matrix. So, does that mean we're living in a simulation? Should we be looking for glitches in the system? That's the million-dollar question. Carson doesn't come right out and say, yes, this is definitely a simulation, but he does present some compelling reasons why it's a possibility worth considering. So now we've got fractals everywhere, the potential of a holographic universe. This is already a lot to process, but it doesn't stop there. Carson takes it even further by linking these modern ideas to ancient wisdom traditions from around the world. At this point, we're moving from theoretical physics into something that sounds more like mythology, but in a way that makes surprising sense. Imagine ancient philosophers and mystics as early programmers trying to decode reality. They didn't have modern science, so they used myths, metaphors, and symbolism to explain what they intuited. Take Plato's allegory of the cave, where the shadows on the wall represent our limited perception of reality. Carson sees that as an early version of simulation theory. Then there's the Hindu concept of Maya, which describes the illusory nature of the material world. These ancient ideas, in his view, resonate with modern discussions about the nature of reality. This fusion of ancient wisdom and cutting-edge science leads to an even bigger question. Where does consciousness fit into all of this? Because for Carson, consciousness isn't just a byproduct of the brain, it's a fundamental force that actually shapes reality. He often references the Akashic field, a kind of cosmic memory bank that supposedly records everything that has ever happened and everything that ever will happen. Think of it as a giant universal cloud drive. Maybe that's where all those lost Word documents end up. Jokes aside, Carson suggests that our minds might be able to tap into this field, which could explain phenomena like intuition, precognition, or even déjà vu, that strange feeling that you've experienced something before. All right, at this point, it's drifting into the very mystical, but it's intriguing. So the next question is, how do we actually access this Akashic field? Do we need to go meditate on a mountaintop to tap into this field? According to Carson, practices like meditation and mindfulness can help, but it's not just about sitting in silence. He emphasizes the importance of knowledge, understanding history, science, and spirituality as a way to expand awareness. The idea is that by broadening our perception, we unlock the ability to connect with this vast reservoir of cosmic information. So, in a way, we're talking about hacking into the mainframe of the universe. But why would we want to do that? What's the benefit? Carson believes that accessing the Akashic field can provide profound wisdom, guidance, and even healing. To him, it's not just some abstract idea. It's a tool for unlocking human potential in ways we might not fully understand yet. Now, let's go back to the simulation theory for a second. If we are living in a simulation, then who created it and why? Because at this point, it's starting to feel like an episode of Black Mirror. Those are the big questions. Carson doesn't claim to have definitive answers, but he explores different possibilities. He looks at ancient myths and texts, drawing parallels between their stories of gods and creators and modern theories about simulated realities. One of the more mind-bending possibilities? The creators of our simulation might actually be us, a more advanced, future version of ourselves running some kind of cosmic experiment. So essentially, we're playing a massive, multi-dimensional video game with ourselves. That's enough to make anyone's head spin. But it doesn't stop there. Carson goes even deeper into some of the more controversial aspects of this kind of thinking. He dives into UFOs, ancient astronaut theories, and the idea that hidden technologies and knowledge have been suppressed throughout history. So, are we talking about little green men or something more like the mysterious beings from Arrival? He keeps an open mind, exploring a range of possibilities. He examines ancient texts, strange archaeological findings, and modern UFO sightings, all suggesting that we might not be as alone in the universe as we assume. And then there's an even wilder idea. What if some of these so-called visitors aren't aliens at all, but us from the future? Time travelers observing, maybe even nudging, human development along the way. Now we're officially in Doctor Who territory. But if we set aside the sci-fi vibes for a second, what actual evidence does Carson offer? He pulls from a wide range of sources: ancient Sumerian tablets, declassified government documents, and eyewitness accounts from credible sources. He also points to structures like the pyramids, which seem to have been built with an incredible level of precision that defies the technological capabilities of their time. Could it all just be human ingenuity? Or is there more to the story? Carson also looks at unexplained aerial phenomena reported by pilots and military personnel from around the world. So he's not just pulling this stuff out of thin air. There are credible accounts that point to something beyond our current understanding. Still, this is a lot to take in. Honestly, lying down and watching some ancient aliens just to process all of this doesn't sound like a bad idea. But that's part of what Carson's work is about, challenging us to question assumptions and expand our understanding of what's possible. If we entertain the idea that we're not alone, that there might be other intelligences out there, what does that mean for humanity's place in the universe? That's a big question. One Carson explores in depth. He suggests that contact with other intelligences could completely transform how we understand ourselves, our history, and our role in the cosmos. It could challenge long-held beliefs, expand consciousness, and even lead to technological advancements beyond what we can currently imagine. So this isn't just about little green men showing up in flying saucers. It's about the potential to reshape humanity's future. Carson sees this as a time of immense opportunity, but also a time of great challenge. He believes we're on the verge of a significant shift in consciousness, an evolutionary leap. And if contact with other intelligences happens, it could serve as the catalyst for that transformation. This is pretty heavy, but it's also eye-opening. It's like someone just ripped off the blinders and revealed a reality far bigger and more complex than we ever imagined. That's the power of exploring ideas like these. They push us to think outside the box, to question the things we take for granted, and to embrace the vast mystery of the universe. So, what's next? What other mind-bending ideas does Billy Carson have up his sleeve? Well, get ready, because we're about to go full back to the future on this one. Remember those fractals we talked about? Those repeating patterns that show up in nature? Carson argues that they don't just exist in space, they exist in time too. Wait, fractals in time? Is he saying history just repeats itself? That we're doomed to make the same mistakes over and over? It's a bit more nuanced than that. Think of it like a cosmic rhythm, a cyclical flow to history rather than a straight line. Ancient cultures, like the Mayans, were obsessed with these cycles, meticulously tracking them in their calendars. They believed these repeating patterns influenced everything from the rise and fall of civilizations to the fundamental nature of reality itself. So in a way, it's like astrology, but on a grand historical scale. Are we talking about those Mayan calendar predictions that had everyone stocking up on canned goods back in 2012? Carson isn't caught up in predicting doomsday dates or obsessing over apocalyptic scenarios. His focus is on the bigger picture, the underlying principle that just as there are patterns in nature, there are also patterns in human behavior, in the rise and fall of civilizations, and even in the evolution of consciousness itself. So if these cycles are real, do they actually teach us something? Or are we just stuck in some kind of cosmic Groundhog Day, doomed to repeat the same mistakes over and over? Carson leans more Bill Murray than Punxsutawney Phil on this one. He believes that by becoming aware of these cycles, by studying history and recognizing patterns, we can gain valuable insights and make more informed choices. It's like having a cosmic cheat sheet for the game of life. That sounds promising. Knowledge is power, after all. But how do we actually tap into this cosmic cheat sheet? Do we need to consult some ancient oracle or start decoding cryptic texts? Carson encourages a twofold approach, being a student of history and being a student of the self. Looking outward, he suggests studying historical patterns and learning from ancient wisdom. Looking inward, he stresses the importance of introspection, of understanding our own personal cycles and behavioral patterns. So it's a combination of know thyself and know history. By understanding both our personal past and our collective past, we can navigate the present more effectively and consciously shape the future. Speaking of the future, if we really are on the verge of this major shift in consciousness, this evolutionary leap, what does that actually look like? Are we talking about telepathy, flying cars, world peace? What's the good stuff? Carson doesn't lay out a strict roadmap, but he envisions a future where humanity is more awakened and interconnected. He describes a world where we've transcended ego-driven conflicts, where we live in harmony with nature, and where we fully realize our potential as spiritual beings. Sounds great, almost utopian, but how do we actually get there? Do we just wait for the next cycle to kick in, or do we have a role to play in creating this future? Carson firmly believes we're not just passive passengers on this ride. We have an active role to play. He encourages people to cultivate inner peace, practice mindfulness, connect with their higher selves, and act with compassion and integrity in their daily lives. He sees each individual as a microcosm of the universe, meaning our personal choices send ripples through the collective consciousness. So, it's not about waiting for some external force to swoop in and change things. It's about each of us taking responsibility for our own growth, which in turn contributes to the evolution of humanity as a whole. Exactly. It's a call to action, an invitation to step into our power as conscious creators of the future. We've only begun to unravel the mysteries of the holographic universe, simulation theory, and the cycles of time. But one thing is undeniable. Reality is far more intricate and bizarre than we've been led to believe. Billy Carson's insights push us to expand our thinking beyond the physical world, to view reality as a constantly evolving consciousness, and to understand that we aren't just observers, we're active participants in shaping what comes next. If you're ready to keep exploring the unknown, subscribe to the W Files and join us on this never-ending search for truth. Until next time, stay curious, because the answers you're looking for might be closer than you ever imagined.
Wait, what?